Hi, my name is Jeffrey. In my free time, I develop extensions for iTop. This one is called Suggested Articles. You could also refer to it as Suggested Frequently Asked Questions, and it will do exactly as the title suggests. So, if you don't rely on the user portal, definitely stay tuned, because even if you don't use this portal, there's still a lot of interesting new features in the backend for the agents as well. So let's focus on the user portal first. As you can see, this is what a typical portal looks like. I've added a frequently asked questions section. Let's also assume that, like in most cases, users will not even bother to read these published solutions already at this point. And they will not just delve into the knowledge base or frequently asked questions themselves. But I just wanted to give you an idea of what's available here in this demo. So there's 3 articles about Windows Server 2022, one about OneDrive, one about ToDrive, one with a very long title, and the word backend, and also front end and front end. All right. So in iTop, a typical workflow is to create a new request. That's what the user will do rather than browsing the frequently asked questions. There's the service, there's the subcategory from where they can create a ticket. And here you will already see some of the new functionality. All right. So you can see that articles are already being suggested here. If you wonder why the ToDrive is also present, it's because it also contains the word Microsoft. As you can see, users can just expand the whole thing. The examples are very basic. If I would have written Microsoft OneDrive here, this article would have been on top instead, but now the matching algorithm only found one matching word, so it is not prioritized over the other articles here. So if there are more words found in an article, they get prioritized. More on that later. So we know that this is still quite subtle for most users, and they might not even see that articles are being suggested. So to combat that, we have an entirely new brick as well that's optionally available. And that's this one. So the user basically just enters a search query and they are presented with the same articles. If you're lucky and the user finds a solution here, it means that your agents will have less work with all these common questions where they can just send the article anyway. You could also use the frequently asked questions to already suggest some troubleshoot steps for the user. For instance, to collect some log files, check some common settings, and then get in touch anyway. But it generally means that the user will sooner have a resolution to their problem. So that also improves customer satisfaction. And it will also help the agent productivity, since the agents can focus more in depth on other issues instead, or already start with more details. If the user doesn't find an answer here, they can still create a ticket. And this is pre-filled. So that's when it comes to the front end or the user portal. Now let me log in and show the agent side instead. All right. Let's edit this. It also works if you directly compose, but there's a little thing I can't show otherwise. Now, as you can see, you immediately get suggestions based on the word test in this case. And I will show you the functionality of everything. You can simply click the title of the article to insert the contents. You can, as an agent, view the details and still adjust stuff. You can insert a link. This is a custom link. It could also refer to the article and the user portal, of course. There's some variables available. I'll get to that later. Or you could quickly peek and see, oh yes, this is the one I want, insert, or you could peek and decide to just go back. As we know, users often end up with stupid titles or meaningless titles. Agents can quickly overrule this or search for alternative suggestions anyway. So this is some sort of a canned response kind of thing as well, but even faster. Now, let me show you some configuration options for this. Mind that this is still an early version, so some things might change a bit. Most of the times features are improved or added. Sometimes settings change a bit, but the gist will remain the same. Currently, it's only enabled for the user class, but you can enable it for multiple classes at once. We match based on the title input. And if we insert from the backend console, it gets inserted in the public log. For incidents, you would also maybe want title, but private log. Here you can specify which articles or frequently asked questions will even be considered. In this demo config, we just consider everything, but you could limit, for instance, the frequently asked questions and the user portal to facts related to their organization. Or you could, for instance, add a field to the article where you have a status, perhaps an internal, public, draft, and limit the visibility based on that. The user has to enter at least 3 characters before articles will be suggested. For people with a lot of knowledge-based articles, if a user sees too many articles, they're also not going to bother. So you can limit this. By default, it's limited to 10. You might even want to consider decreasing this to 5. I will get back to this one in a bit. This is the custom URL that I explained. You could also just refer to the default URL. And there's some placeholders related to the article or the ticket. Throttling means that there must be 1 second of inactivity after typing before the search results will be displayed. This is to make sure that your server doesn't get overloaded and to make sure that the search string is nearly typed. And this is to influence the matching algorithm. So if a user enters a title or a description, it searches the article and it searches these attributes of the frequently asked question in this case. So if it finds one keyword in the title, it awards 2 points per occurrence. If it finds a word in the summary or description, it awards 1 point per occurrence. So, for instance, if there's Microsoft in the summary twice and the search term is Microsoft, it would the article would get 2 points. As for tags, it's best to give them a higher score, like 25, if, for instance, the back end tag would be matched. We haven't configured this here. It would also be possible to add a custom field priority to a frequently asked question. And there you could also set a score, a very high one. This would be useful if you want to provide, for instance, status updates, or if it's a really an article which should be very, very high in the list. So you can cheat a little bit here. Now, about these occurrences, I mentioned that I was going to skip this one for a bit. It's time to explain it now. So For instance, if the user enters Microsoft Windows Server, it would search the combinations of up to 3, that's the 3 here, words. So it would search for Microsoft, it would search for Windows, it would search for Server, it would also search for Microsoft Windows, so words right after each other, and Windows Server, two words right after each other, and also Microsoft Windows Server. So this is the maximum 3 words of succeeding search terms, actually. You could also get rid of some words or ignore them. For instance, if Microsoft is too common, you could add it here in the list of words that will be replaced, and they just replace them by a blank space. There's also some other functionality here going on, so that's what this is. It just tries to strip out common words, or you can also specify patterns. Like here we remove one letter words, I, or two character words, or of. Alright, this explains most of the frequently asked questions extension that I've created. If there are any suggestions or additional questions, definitely get in touch. Bye.